Oh, I get a choice to leave. Okay.
You can opt in or opt out and say,
Oh, I don't know about recording. You mean this is going to be held on to for posterity? I may have to leave now. I don't know.
Become one of the viral YouTube videos. Watch out.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that nothing good can come of that.
All right, so welcome everyone. This is the last session of our Let's Take a Moment series. We've hosted, I don't know, 6 or 8 of these on a variety of topics. And we're excited tonight to talk about employment. For those who aren't familiar, I'm Kristen Feierabend, and I am part of our Wake County Social and Economic Vitality Team, which is a partnership between Wake County and North Carolina Cooperative Extension. And we are a collaborative initiative focused on eliminating intergenerational poverty in Southeast Raleigh and Eastern Wake County, but we do care about the county as a whole. And our work really focuses on strategies that support thriving families, nonprofits, businesses, and communities as a whole. So this series is really focused on families and individuals and how to support folks who may need help with a variety of things. So tonight I have a few announcements, just kind of some FYIs for folks to know about, and then I'll hand it to Tony, and then Bernadette, and then we will have some time for questions. And we can do questions as we go as needed. So for folks tonight, your audio, I think most folks are muted. You can mute yourself if you need to, and you're always welcome to unmute to ask a question, or you can type into the chat box, which you should be able to find at the bottom of your screen. And as I mentioned, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch it later or send it to your friends and family if they want to watch. So just a few FYIs for folks to know about. Food assistance. There are so many different food sites happening across the county right now due to COVID-19. There are school meal sites that are happening through the summer. There are also fresh vegetable boxes going out at various places, and I believe now there's some frozen casseroles going out at some different sites. So you can visit this website, which I will share these slides afterward, but you can visit this website to see where some of those sites are, or share it with a friend. If you're having any issues with finances, employment, education, health, etc., and you have children or you're caring for children, Wake County Family Services is an awesome resource that can help you navigate some of those challenges. And so while they aren't meeting with folks in person right now, they do have an intake line that you can call and get set up with someone who can help. COVID-19 testing. The county has a number of testing sites for folks who are at risk or have symptoms of COVID, so you can look for more information there. And then there's also partners who are hosting testing sites around the county. And again, all these links will come to you in an email. Reminder, if you haven't heard about the census, that everyone should take a moment to fill out your census. You can do it quickly online, or by phone, or by mail when it gets to your house or home. And the census is super important because it affects the resources that come to our community. So federal dollars, state dollars are often distributed based on population, and so it's really important that we fill out our census so we get all of the dollars and support that our community deserves. Like I mentioned, tonight is our last session in the Let's Take a Moment series. We've had other topics on health, finances, home buying, and several others, and we've recorded them all, so you'll get a link if you want to watch any of those previously, and hopefully we're going to do another series like this in the future, so we'll keep y'all posted on that. And if you have participated in any of these sessions, or you really enjoy tonight's, you might want to think about our life coaching program. which includes 10 weekly sessions that you participate in a cohort with some other folks. And it's really focused on attitude and mindset and kind of identifying like what goals do you have in life? Do you want to buy a home? Do you want to go back to school? Do you want a better job, etc.? And then really helping you put together the pieces and the short-term action plan to help you get there. And Vielka Gabrielle is our life coach expert, and she is on the call tonight. If anyone has any questions about that, we should be starting up a new cohort this fall. And with that, I think I will pass it over to Tony Zarcone with Wake County to talk about some of the employment resources we have. And I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Kristen. Hey, everybody. I can't see any of you, so but I know you're there. So my name's Tony Zarcone. I'm with Wake County Human Services, and what I'm going to primarily speak with you all tonight about are two of the main programs that I'm involved with in Human Services. One is the NC Works Center at Swinburne, and the other one is the FNS E&T program, which is the Food and Nutrition Services Employment and Training Program. So let me start by talking about NC Works a little bit, because that particular resource is such a great tool for everyone, and it literally is for everyone. I mean, if you are within distance of an NC Works Center, and they are all over, not just in Wake County and Johnson County and many of the counties, Durham, Orange, all the counties, but I'm going to speak specifically about ours, of course. But if you're anywhere near one, you can go in there as a citizen, and it is just a huge, huge resource. You can sign up to NC Works online. You can create an account. It is free and available. And then you can actually get assistance with, I mean, everything you can imagine. If it has to do with getting a job, including career research, you know, LMI information, or labor market information about what are the growth careers, where are the opportunities for you going forward in terms of employment, from all of those, you know, kind of big picture items, even to something as small picture as creating your own resume or creating a profile that will then help you what we call spider in job leads. So basically, once you create a profile on NC Works online, employers will be able to pull up your profile and actually send you leads. Like, you don't even have to go and ask them if they have an opening. If your profile matches what they're looking for, they'll send it to you. So, I mean, that's a great tool. It's like having it's basically like having a headhunter working for you, a virtual headhunter working specifically for you. And all you have to do is do a really good job on your profile to begin with, and there's staff that will help you do that. So even if computers can be intimidating, which by the way, if computers are intimidating, this is a rough time for you. And I feel for you, because so much is going on virtually now that without a computer, without an online presence, it's really difficult. Job search is a really challenging thing. And it's always challenging, but particularly during this pandemic, because in-person interviews they're really not happening very much. Even the services that I'm going to talk about tonight, most of them right now are going to be remote or virtual services. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is we're able to be really effective with those virtual services. So you are still going to be getting probably 97% of the services. The 3% is you won't have the joy of meeting me in person, you know, or meeting staff in person, which that might actually be better. It might actually be better. You might like it more. So let's just knock that right up to 100% now. But really, the services that we offer are very much available virtually. So back to the NC Works Center. As I said, I am the coordinator for the Swinburne branch, which is located, for those of you who may not know, it is located on the 3rd floor of the Human Services Center at Swinburne. And the address for that is 220 Swinburne Street. Currently, as I said earlier, we are only offering remote services. But the good news is our Artillery Center, which actually that's the kind of the flagship center for our area, they are opening to the public on Monday, the 27th. So this is, I think I said this earlier, Kristen, this is great timing. That we were going to originally do this earlier in the month, and I wouldn't have had news to share at that time. But today it's perfect, because we just got the confirmation today that they are going to be opening for the public. Now, in regards to what we're going through with the COVID-19, they are asking people to call and make appointments. So it's going to be limited capacity. They're going to try to make sure everyone stays socially distant. You are expected and required to wear a mask, and I think that's reasonable. You know, we want to protect our staff as well as our customers and our participants. But for those of you who may not be comfortable with the computer, it's a really good hands-on, so to speak, resource that you can access. They will have staff and they will have services available that can help you get through the rough patches, which is kind of what the NC Works Center does under normal circumstances. When we are open and we are staffed and it is open to the public, that's what we do. We basically will bring people in and introduce them to the online services and the in-person services, and then help them through it. That's the whole idea of having the center. And we know, you know, I mean, I'm no expert either, you know, so very few of us are really expert at these things, but the staff is very familiar with the system, with the computers, and they're great at training and helping people get through the rough spots. So I strongly encourage you to take advantage of that when you can. You know, right now, I mean, the Swinburne location is not open, but we envision that we will be opening soon, you know, down the road. We don't have an opening date yet, but that's why it's so great that Tillery is there for now. So that is the NC Works Center. And by the way, I'm not a big visual person. You know, I don't like sharing my screen and sending stuff up there. I want you to just pay attention to what I'm saying and enjoy that if it's enjoyable. But afterwards, Kristen is going to send out some stuff. I sent some job leads. I sent some information about this, the website for the NC Works Center. So, you know, don't worry about taking notes or, you know, or trying to remember, because I know I do talk fast. Don't worry about that. You're going to get all of this later. And if you have any questions at that time, you will have my email, and please feel free to send me an email. I'm very responsive to that. I'll get right back to you. And if I don't know the answer, I'll make up something. So, you know, you'll never know. You'll always get an answer. It just may not be the right one. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, if I don't have the answer, I'll get the information for you. So that's the NC Works Center. Now I want to talk a little bit about the FNS E&T program. And that's a really great program. It is available to anyone who is receiving FNS benefits. And that's fancy human services talk for food stamps, except they're not stamps anymore. It's an EBT card. But if you're old like me, you still think of them as food stamps. So there are a couple of eligibility things, and I'm happy to share them with you tonight. So you need to be above the age of 16 and not dead. We've tried working with dead people before, and it's not very effective. They don't respond to any emails, and we can't place them. So it just doesn't work out well. So above the age of 16, but there is no upper limit. We do ask that, of course, you are receiving food stamp benefits, FNS benefits. And if you are getting 3 cents a month in FNS benefits, you are eligible. So it's not an amount. As long as you have an active case, you are eligible. We ask that you not have an active work first case. And the reason for that is because this pot of money, as all pots of money, starts out far, far away. And when it starts out, where it begins is also where work first money comes from. So they start out somewhere and then they split in different pathways. But if you are getting work first and you're in our program, you're essentially getting the same money, the same pot of money twice. So we do ask the people, if they are on Work First is a great program. We can work with you and do many of the same things. With the addition of childcare and get you, a lot of times it can get you priority for housing. So if you're on Work First, don't worry about missing out on this program, because you're going to have access to a lot of the same things. But if you're not on Work First and you are receiving FNS benefits, this is absolutely the program. I would strongly, strongly encourage you to take advantage of this, because it really can help you. And now that I've built it up, I'll tell you how it can help you. I wanted to kind of give you all that eligibility first and tease you a little bit, get you very anxious about all the good stuff that's going to come later. So, so in the program, we basically have 3 pathways. But the idea of the program, let me just start with that. The idea of the program is to work with individuals who are receiving food stamp benefits, FNS benefits, and assist them in becoming self-sufficient. That's the goal of the program. I like to tell people when we do information sessions that it is a great program, But don't worry yourself and say, oh, it's so selfless. What are they getting out of this? Here's what we're getting out of it. If we do our job, we will help you become self-sufficient. And in theory, we will then save, you'll leave F&S benefits, you will go on, you will do great things, you will make money, all these things will go better. And we're helping ourselves because we're reducing the F&S roles, but in a good way, because it's not like we're going to kick you out because you get a job. We're going to help you move forward. And that's the idea of the program. So it is very much tied into self-sufficiency. We will help you achieve that in a variety of ways. There are basically three main pathways in the program. The first pathway is employment. So the employment pathway is pretty straightforward. You come into the program and you're interested in employment, and we are interested in helping you achieve that. So what would happen with that is you would come in, I would, after you are enrolled, you would be assigned to one of my employment counselors. I have 3 of them. They are all great. Don't tell them I said that, but they're all great. So it doesn't matter who you get. You're going to get somebody great who is very, very good at their job. And more importantly, really good with customers, of course, but also with employers. And you want that. You want them to be really good with employers because that is what's going to help you be successful. So what they're going to do as an employment counselor is they will work with you on any of those obstacles between you and employment. So they'll work with you on the job skills training, things like interviews and applications, filling out, doing resumes, kind of soft skills, kind of getting you ready for that job search. And particularly during this time when, let's face it, it's tough out there. There's, a lot of places are not reopened yet, or if they're opened, they're only opened halfway, or they're only opened a little bit and they're hiring back old staff. So there's not necessarily a bunch of new opportunities out there. However, having said that, this is an even better time for you to take advantage of polishing your skills, because here's what happens a lot of times. And it's happened lately too. People have said, oh, no, I don't really want to do employment now. There's no jobs out there anyway. And you're kind of missing the boat on that, because yes, there may not be a job out there right now for you, but what you want to do is use this time to make yourself the best candidate so that when there is a job in a month or 2 or 3 or 4 or 2 weeks, who knows, right? But when there is an opening, you hit that opening hard. You hit it ready to go. You hit it as the best candidate. A lot of people think the time to start working on their job skills is when there's a job, and that's wrong. It's already too late. When there's a job out there for you, people are already applying for it, and if you go there with less than stellar skills, you may not get that job. So the time to work on those skills is now, so that when those jobs show up, you're right at the front door knocking and looking good and ready to take it and ready to do it right. So I really encourage people to use this as an opportunity to brush up on your skills. And I'll tell you, I've been doing this for over 30 years. And I will tell you that, not lately, thank God, I haven't looked lately, but even when I go and interview, and I've done it like maybe 10, 12 years ago, you have to practice. I mean, I do this every day for 30 years. You would think, surely I could just roll out of bed tomorrow and go on an interview. And I'll tell you what, I could, but I wouldn't necessarily do well. It's the sort of thing that when you are out of practice, it's not like riding a bike. I mean, when you're out of practice, you need to practice. You need to get sharp. Even if you were good at interviewing and doing this stuff 15 years ago, it's a different interview today. I would say if you were good at this 7 years ago, it's a different interview today. And you really need to stay sharp on those skills, polish them, keep them up to date, and keep them sharp, because that is going to be a huge, huge tool for you. I can't tell you how many people send me a resume that looks good, and they all look about as good. And so the only person who gets the job, the person who comes in and impresses, the person who comes in prepared, and knowing what they're talking about and being able to communicate that well. And you want to be that person, because if you're not, you're the person going on that next interview for another job because you didn't get this one. So you really want to sharpen those skills. And we will do that with you. In addition to that, we will also give you job leads. In addition to that, we will help you when you become employed, because you will become employed. If you're working with this program and you're following through, you're going to get a job. I'm not going to say tomorrow, that'd be a lie, but you're going to get a job. And when that happens, we'll continue to work with you to make sure that you can maintain that job, because getting a job, I say this all the time, getting a job will not change your life. A lot of people think that it will, but it will not. because if you don't keep that job, what's changed? All right, so you have to get a job and you have to keep the job. Now, I usually go on and say you have to keep the money you earn from that job too, but that won't suffice for today. So we'll stop it, get the job and keep the job. That's the real key. So that is the employment aspect of the program. I encourage you to take advantage of it. And please do keep in mind, you don't have to say, oh, either I'm going to do employment or I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. There are 3 pathways in this program, and you can pretty much do all 3 of them if that's what you choose to do. So you don't have to say I'm going to do 1 or 2 or 3. You can say I'm going to do 1 and 2, and most people do. Or you can say I'm going to do 1 and 3. Doing 2 and 3 or 1, 2, and 3 is a little more difficult, as you'll see. So pathway 1, employment, I highly recommend. Pathway 2, some people come into the program and it's not like they don't want to work, but they say, you know what, I have the skills, I can get a job, or I'm even already working, but not a great job, not the job I want, not the job I really want, but I'm making a little bit of money, but I want to use this time and I want to learn more. I know that in order for me to do better, I need to get more training. I need to increase my knowledge and my skills and my education. And that's a great path. And another one that we highly encourage, that's pathway 2, which is education and training. Now, pathway 1, we do in-house. I have employment counselors. They're right there. Pathways 2 and 3, we work with partners. The good news is we work with great partners. So pathway 2, our partner is WakeTech. And I don't think that's the same branch of WakeTech, but I think they're speaking tonight as well. Is that correct, Kristen? Yeah. So you'll hear way more about what they offer, and it's some really great stuff. But for our team, we have 2 education navigators assigned to work with our participants, and they're really good at what they do. And let me explain, because education navigator, when I first heard that term, I wasn't quite sure what it was. A made-up term, I guess. It's really not, though. If you think about it, education is a journey. It really is not. It's not. We hardly ever just go and say, "Oh, I'm going to learn this," and poof, everything's good. It's a journey. And it really is. When you're looking at learning skills and increasing your knowledge and certifications and things like that, it is hardly ever, A to B. It's usually A to B, and then you go to C and D and E, and then you might go to R, all right? And the education navigators are there to help you get through all of that. So for example, you may come to the program and say, I want to do education and training. You might say, I think I want to work in the medical field. And that's great. That's a great field. There's a good opportunities. We have so many great hospitals around here. This pandemic, certainly we all recognize, if we didn't before, we definitely recognize how important that frontline staff is. And I can't help but think there's going to be even more openings going forward in that area. So it's a really good career choice. But you may want to do that, and it doesn't mean that you're going to go in there and then someone's going to go poof and you're a nurse, right? It doesn't work like that. I wish we'd be out of this thing already. We'd have 1 million nurses, no problem. So you may go and talk with the education navigator, and what they're going to do is they'll talk with them and say, great, you know what? Nursing, that's a really good field. It's got some good future. You're going to start, but first you have to get these courses out of the way, kind of these introductory courses. And then when you do that, we have to send you here to this certification. And when you're done with that one, we're going to bump you up to the next level. And so the advantage to that is you're going to have somebody talk you and walk you through the process. And much like I mentioned about the computers, these processes can be intimidating because you're going out there and it's going back to school. And especially if you're a returning student, a lot of times returning students, you're thinking, oh my God, I've been out of school for a while. What do I do? It's scary. It's a muscle that you might not have been using as much lately. So it's going to, it can be intimidating. It can be something that makes you hesitate. And the navigators are there to really take away that whole intimidation factor and take away that hesitation. They're there to make it easy and painless. And they're really good at that. So I would encourage you to take advantage of that. Some really great teams going on and really great opportunities. This really is a good time to look at your certifications, look at your career path, and decide where you want to go. And I'm getting off topic here, but I often do. But let me just say that, we work with a lot of people who are older. Now compared to me, they're not older, but compared to, they might be in their 40s, even in their 50s. That is by no means old, but it is older, right? It's not necessarily your typical student or the typical person you might think you would see. But I will tell you something, that it is never too late to make changes and to make choices and to move forward. And every day, every week, every month, every year that you spend going, oh, I can't do that, and you talk yourself out of things, that's one more week, month, day, or year that you're not doing something. And if you add it up before too much longer, you look back and you say, you know what, if I would have done this when I thought about it, I'd be done now. I'd already be done with it. So please think about that. Don't talk yourself out of things. Is there a question there?
I was just,
Oh, okay. Oh, I don't know.
Time, you can always take a.
There you go. Yeah, it really is. And I can't say that enough because, it's out there. This is an opportunity and you should take advantage of it in a good way. So that is pathway 2. We encourage you to do that. I will tell you that most people in the program combine pathways 1 and 2. And what happens is they might come in and they have responsibilities and bills, and so they need a job now. And we're happy to do that. But we also, remember, I said this is all about you succeeding and moving forward. And we know that the job you get now may not be as good as the job we want you to get ultimately. So you come in, we help you get a job, you work that, you go to school. WakeTech is great because they exist in large part. They help people. They understand that, school is a part of your life. It's not the only thing that you do, but it's an important thing that you do. So a lot of the classes are in the evenings. A lot of the classes can be built around your work schedule. So it works out perfectly. You can work and then go to school at night, and before too much longer, you've got the certification, then we can work with you to get a better job in that field. So pathway 1 and 2 fit together very well, and a lot of people take advantage of both of them, and we encourage you to. Pathway 3 is another great opportunity. We call this pathway hands-on training. Now, I will tell you that pathways 1 and 2, as I alluded to earlier, they are virtual right now. So most of the stuff is going on remotely. I think WakeTech has mostly online classes. I will be corrected later if I'm wrong on that, but I think pretty much that's the safest thing for everybody. I know our services are virtual. This third pathway is called hands-on training. So if you think about it, hands-on training, nobody's putting hands on anything right now, right? So it is probably, there are not going to be as many offerings right now in that area. If you come into the program and that's an area that you're interested in, we will refer you. And I would encourage you to take advantage of it. I'll talk about it in a second. But just understand that, like, I'll refer you today, but they may not have a hands-on training starting until maybe October or November. So it might be a little bit of time, more of a gap than you might see with employment or with education and training directly. So let me back up. So hands-on training is just what it sounds like. It is an opportunity for you to learn hands-on from an industry professional. Right now, we are offering it in primarily 4 areas through different partners. So I will talk briefly about each area. And Kristen, if I'm starting to go over time, by all means, like, instead of that hand, show me a little hook or something, and I'll know to okay. So hands-on training is right now offered in 4 areas. I'm going to tell you the areas, then I'll talk about them briefly. Food service, hotel, motel, or hospitality, HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, and what we call DOT, or Department of Transportation. So restaurant, that's the easiest one. It's just like what it sounds. It's restaurant, it's food service, it's learning, working with the chef, working and learning how to cook, how to prepare, how to create in the kitchen. We tell people, with any of the hands-on training, what I tell people is, if this is what you've always wanted to do, when I tell you these 4 areas, if one or more of those areas is something that you've always said, God, I wish I could work in a restaurant. Oh man, I would love to do HVAC. I'm really interested in that. If you have that burning desire, this is a great pathway for you. We encourage you. If you don't, don't just say, oh, I'll do the food service because you think, oh, I can get a job in food service pretty easy. This program we can get you a job anyway, all right? We can help you get a job in food service anyway without the training. But if you go to that training, it should be because that is what you want to do. That's the career you want. That's the pathway you have chosen. That's really important because we don't want you to settle. This program is not about you settling and just doing something because, oh, well, I can get it. That sounds easy. We want you to do what you want to do. This is a chance for you to move forward and create and grow and succeed. So food service, you're going to work with an industry professional and learn the ins and outs. Everything from, knife skills. I mean, that's kind of thing, you wouldn't necessarily learn the restaurant knife skills, prepping all that stuff, and they're going to work with you. That's offered in a couple of different places through a couple of different partners. So there's a good opportunity. Hotel, motel, or hospitality. You're going to learn, there's a variety of jobs in there: front desk, housekeeper, I guess I keep saying bellman, but I'm sure there's a more, less gender specific way of saying that, but concierge, that's going to be the kind of job. So if that's a field that you've always been interested in, and there are some great opportunities in that field in terms of travel, things like that, you can really, take advantage of those things. And that's a great field for you. We'll get training right in that with people who've done the job and who know about the job. The third one is HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Again, a very lucrative field. That's pretty much a growth industry. Sadly, climate change is making heating, ventilation, and air conditioning even more important. So it's not going anywhere. And you can work everywhere from housing complexes where they need somebody who's able to do that, all the way up to actual heating HVAC companies. You can go and work with an air conditioning company installing and repairing and tuning up and fixing and stuff. So that's an opportunity for you. And then the fourth one is DOT, Department of Transportation. And that one is heavy equipment operation. Like basically, if you've driven anywhere around this area, you've undoubtedly come upon road work. You've come upon them tearing up a road or fixing a road, tearing up a road they just fixed or fixing a road they just tore up, and you got the flag man, you got the person, shoveling, raking out that asphalt down on the ground. You got a bunch of people. You got a bunch of people sitting around too. I don't know. I always see them sitting around. I don't know what they're doing. I'm going on this little lane waiting for 27 cars to go. They're sitting around, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, so that's DOT. What I always tell people with that is it's a really good opportunity. However, you are going to be really hot or really cold or really wet because you are out in the elements. So when it is hot out, you are hotter. Because think about this. If it's 100 degrees, that's 100 degrees beating down on you. That's probably like 500 degrees beating up on you from the asphalt that you're raking out there. It is very hot. When it is cold, it's cold. So I always say that it seems obvious, right? But a lot of people don't think of that. They're like, oh yeah, I could do that. It doesn't look that bad. But you're in the elements. So you have to be really comfortable with the physicality of that because it is not a desk job. You're going to be on your feet and moving and working, and you're going to know you worked at the end of that day without a doubt. So just be aware of that. And it's a great field. If you're prepared to deal with that, it's a really good opportunity. It's a good field to go into. And we have partners that do that. Okay. That works out perfectly. So those are the four areas. The other advantage to that hands-on training is that not only are you learning from industry professionals, but often those industry professionals may be in a position to hire when everything's said and done. It's not a guarantee, but it's an opportunity, right? Think about it. If you're training somebody in that kitchen and you've got a really good student who has just shown that they have these skills and you have an opening in your restaurant, why wouldn't you hire that student? I would. I've seen them work. I know what they know because I taught them, right? So it's an added advantage in that way. It can sometimes translate into sort of a networking opportunity in addition to the knowledge and education. And that is the program. The way you get into the program, the best way is email me. Email me your phone number and times that you may be available, and I will call you. And we will talk. We'll do an information session. I'll be honest with you. You pretty much got an information session. So I'll tell you what. For a limited time only, I was going to give you a set of knives, but instead I'm going to give you this. If when you email me, you say, I was in that Zoom meeting that you just did on Thursday night, you will not have to do an information session. I will send you the application directly. What do you think of that? Yeah, I can't hear the cheers, but I'm sure they're there. So, but it really is an advantage because it moves you one step closer in the process. And we will send you an application, you fill it out, you get it back. We check eligibility, and then we do an enrollment. And then we're good. And I am done, Kristen. But I'm open to questions if there are any, or if they're at the end.
And when you get that job in the restaurant and you know how to work those knives, you can chop me up a great meal.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I cannot work knives. It's sad. I look at that stuff and it's just, they make it look so easy. Not easy.
I will also just let you know, we've had several of our Middle Class Express participants who have taken the culinary arts class and have landed great jobs. Was very proud of one of our ladies who actually was using their marketing tool to show her culinary skills, and it just blossomed because, like Tony said, the instructor actually walked her into a position. And I believe that last group that we had some folks in that she was a part of, I'm making up numbers, but if there were 15 people in that group, at least 12 of them found a position by graduation. Because they really had them going out. Some of them were placed in the hotels downtown. That was when NC State Hospitality Hotel had opened up. So we've watched a lot of these students go on, take the courses. And one young man took the course because it was a hobby he liked to do that now has turned into his, so it went from his hobby to his passion to his purpose. And he's started doing a food truck, working with someone and got in business with them doing a food truck. So
I was going to say, that's a good opportunity. That is a good opportunity for self-employment.
And you learn more than just cooking. They learn finances. They learn how to deal with customer service. I mean, they learned a lot more than just how to chop up the tomatoes. I laugh because I would have chopped fingers off, but I like to eat. So there we go.
You know what, Hvac, I'm sorry, you just reminded me of one other thing, and I should have said this earlier. We also offer financial literacy through Operation Hope, who's another one of our really great partners, and that's us. I know you're familiar with that program. Shonda's great. They do a wonderful job in there. And that is because, as I alluded to earlier, get a job, keep your money, change your life. You do one of those, you do two of those, you may not get to the change your life part, but if you do all three, you're on your way. And Shonda really helps with the keep your money part.
Yes, and we did one of our Let's Take a Moment sessions earlier in the series. I think she was on, right, Hvac?
Yeah, she's great.
And she is part. Really, so when you go through our MC, the 9-week session, we call it 10 because it's an orientation. Shonda's also a part of that. And I tell folks, whether you're starting your own business or running your own house, Operation Hope has really made a difference. It's designed for people like Hvac, who's not going to read the 15 pages, but she put little cartoon characters on the paper, and I was like, hey, that's me, that's me, that's me. She made it very simple for me to follow. Kristen, did you read that?
The question,
was that a new question?
Question in the chat box. So what do you say to someone who has a difficult time finding employment due to multiple short-term job experiences combined with a more humanitarian spirit versus a competitive one?
I say you're like probably 73% of the people I've worked with over the course of my career. You know, there's a lot of people, and especially some younger people too, where it's just, you know, I'm old. You know, I came from the time when everybody kept the job for like 20, you know, you retired, right? That is not the way it is anymore. People leave jobs after a year. I've worked with people who've had, you know, 2 or 3 months is their record on a job. It's more difficult, I won't lie. But again, the only person who doesn't end up getting a job is a person who gives up. I mean, that's really the truth. I know it sounds like easy, like, oh, sure, but it's not easy. It's very hard. And I'm not saying you're going to get one tomorrow, but if you don't give up, you will get one. I mean, that's just the way it is. And like I said, I've done this over 30 years, and I can absolutely say that the only people that I have not seen become employed are the ones who ultimately gave up. And, you know,
this is a private question that came in. Working with an individual who has a background, and I'm paraphrasing it so that the person, working with a person that has a background, what would you say are some ways that they could address the barrier?
So again, without knowing what that background is, I can't get very specific about what to say for each individual thing, but I'll tell you one thing: you need to be honest, you need to communicate very well, and you need to be succinct. It's quick. So get in, get it out, and then you get back out of that. You do not need to, I can't tell you how many people over the years, it's like it weighs on them. And I get it, because it's waiting out there. You know that at some point this is going to come up, and so you dread it, and it kind of hangs over your head. And so sometimes I've had people come in and they just like blurt it out. They're just like, so tell me about yourself. Well, I just got out of prison after 15 years. That is not what you want to do. That's a part of the process. You're going to have to talk about that, but you don't want to just throw it out there like that. Be confident and practice. And I will tell you you cannot practice enough, because the more you practice, the more comfortable you are talking about these things, the better you're going to be when the time comes that you have to talk about them. And the time will come. You are going to have to talk about that. I will say that. I mean, they may not ask you on the application. They may not ask you in the first interview. They're going to ask you at some point, and you're going to have to deal with that at some point. And again, depending on the thing, over the years, I've said, depending on what your background is, there are ways around that. For example, if you served enough time, and a lot of people who've been in prison that I've worked with, they might have been served 10, 12 years. They use that time. They got their GED. They went and they took some college courses. So bring that into it. Say, listen, I made some mistakes when I was younger. I'm not proud of that, but I learned from it. And while I was learning, while I paid my dues or whatever, here's what I did with that time. I looked around me. A lot of people were using their time inside to become better criminals and not get caught the next time. I use my time to become a better person.
So is that something that you all coach folks on?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And trust me, they do a better job of it than I do. So
cool. And do you want to mention the Reentry Council, since we'll be sharing info about that just quickly, and then we'll turn it over to Bernadette.
Yeah, and so there is a local Reentry Council. So any of our returning citizens out there, including the person in the Zoom, or the many people in the Zoom, there's certainly, I'm sure, more than one, please take advantage of that. And you're going to have a website that's going to get sent out by Kristen after this meeting. Please take advantage of that. The local Reentry Council is an organization that basically, it's almost a clearinghouse for services to returning citizens like yourselves. You can access case management, you can access supports, housing leads, job leads. I mean, our program is not specifically a part of that, although we partner with them, but it's not like if you go in there, you have to be in our program. You can go to the LRC, having never heard of me, having nothing to do with me or our program. It is available to all returning citizens. So I would encourage you to take advantage of that. There's some really good people and some excellent resources behind it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I will say that, piggybacking off of what you just said, Tony, we have seen individuals who every door was closed, every door. Yep. And they kept knocking. And guess what? They are working, have an apartment, doing 2 times more than what anybody, 3 times, 4 times more than what anybody would have imagined. And the reason it worked is because the person did not stop. The doors closed and they kept just going to other doors. Yeah. They were frustrated, but this lady went from door to door to door until the right door opened, and it allowed her to walk right in. So I'm proud of her being determined and being honest with her situation.
One of our first participants in this program, we first opened this program up April of 2019, I guess. So it's a little over a year or so now, right? One of our first participants literally just got out of prison. I 15 or 20 years. I mean, he served a really long sentence. And one of our best success stories. I mean, he came in, and you talk about the doors being closed. I mean, just think about this. Think back 20 years. The world has changed a lot in 20 years. I mean, 20 years ago, you couldn't even have a computer that does what the tiniest little phone does right now in your hands. Think about that. I mean, it blew my mind. I can't even think 20 years ago. The world was so different. He came out, and I'm not going to say it was easy. It didn't happen overnight, but he never gave up. One of our best success stories. He's working. He's got a place of his own. I mean, everything that he couldn't believe it. He came back in we still see him. Well, we don't see anybody now, but I mean, you know, he came back in, I want to say probably like January or February, and just to visit his case manager, just to touch bases, say, hey, I'm still doing good. Now I'm doing this, you know, because again, you get a job, you learn, you grow, you get a better job. You learn, you grow, you get a better job. That's pretty much how it works, you know. So, I mean, yeah, so it really is not, it's not easy. Not easy. Anybody who says it is lying to you, or they don't know what they're talking about. It is difficult, but it is only one more obstacle, right? Everybody's got obstacles, you know. It might be a return. You have, you know, ex-offender status. It might be you have no transportation. It might be that you're homeless. It might be that you got fired from a lot of jobs or quit them. It might be that you're new in town. It might be that you are not computer literate. It might be that you don't read and write well. They're obstacles. None of those obstacles has to stop you from succeeding. It's just one more hurdle. You just have to get over it. Now, the more you have, the harder you have to work to get over them, but it's not impossible.
Awesome.
So,
thank you,
yeah.
Tony. I am
Thank
going
you.
to turn it over to Bernadette. I think, Tony, you're
Absolutely.
staying on to the end if folks
I
do
am,
have
yeah.
more questions.
I can't follow Tony.
Thank you.
I cannot follow him.
Oh, please.
You done took everything from me. Now I'm just going to give a quick summary of everything that he said. You know, we are in a hard time. There are not too many jobs out there, but you have to take the negative and let's turn it into a positive. Okay. So, do you have control or do I? Okay. Is it possible to research jobs? Yeah, but what you have to be strategic. Okay. Look at companies that are actively advertising, like Amazon. That's going to be the biggest employer yet. Don't just pick up anything. You want to network. Of course, we can't go out here and do face-to-face and all that, but get on Facebook, the good sites, LinkedIn, and try to find ways to connect with other people. And now they're doing video interviews. Be prepared. Be very prepared, okay? Changing jobs, that can be very challenging. Who wants to start all over again? Look at your goals. Look at what your SMART goals are. What is your career path? You're going on a journey. Is it going to be fun? No. Is it going to be hard? Yes. But it is a journey that you take, okay? Resume. Please, please, please. When you're doing a resume, put your best foot forward and get a professional email. Please, please, please. Now, there's several different types of resumes, and I was talking with someone the other day, and she had a chronological resume, but she was all over the map with dates. She wasn't at one job. So I said, let's turn this around, okay? We're going to do a functional resume. Show your skills. That way you don't have to put those dates in there that much, but you can say, hey, now I worked for this company, and this is what I did. Volunteer. You can put that volunteer experience down. It is okay. Inmates, those that's coming out of the prison system, I tell them, what did you do when you were in prison? Well, I worked in the cafeteria. Okay, put that down. That was a job. Because once you put state of North Carolina, they can't say, well, he was prisoner 1821. They can just say, yes, he was here. So know that you don't always have to think negative about things, okay? Put down your skills, put down any awards. Be careful of putting down your interest, okay? Because you might say, I'm interested in cooking, but you don't know how to cook. That's me. I can't cook. I don't want to hurt nobody. Okay? No, I don't cook. They kicked me out a long time ago. You can go next, Kristen. Okay. Professional email. Spider-Man at Yahoo. Get away from Yahoo, guys. Yahoo is almost like America on, what is it? AOL, America Online, whatever. You want something with your name. And if somebody has your name, put a number behind it. And go with Gmail, please. Please, please. If you have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, clean it up, because employers do look at that. They really do. And I've seen the cases of where a teacher down in Wilmington had gone to the beach in her swimsuit, took pictures, put it on Facebook, and some of her students saw it. Guess what? She got fired. You don't want that out there, okay? Wake Works, guys, let me tell you, this program here is wonderful because you're basically getting paid to train. You sign up with Wake Works, they're going to put you through an apprenticeship program. These are some that's happening now, your carpentry, electrical pipe fitting, and we're adding more and more. Tower technician. Guy told me, he says, I want to be a tower technician. I said, what's that? He was like, going up on the pole. I was like, okay. But these companies are buying into it. You're going to be paid, your tuition's going to get paid, any kind of uniforms or supplies. It's all paid for. So keep that in mind. Look at the video. WakeWorks has a dynamic orientation online, okay? One thing that they have to do before they get into the apprenticeship program is take the Career Readiness Certification test. It's 3 tests: applied math, workplace documents, and graphic literacy. And a lot of jobs look at those certifications, and that is national: bronze, silver, gold, platinum. Go for it. Okay. Coming this fall, apartment technician, automotive technician, all of these, plus we're adding more. I think we're going to have something in IT. What's blowing up now is HVAC and EMT workers, paramedics. People are really going for that. So keep that in mind. Go ahead. Now you can go to this email and they can give you all the information. Trust me, I've been talking to about 100 a day because I am the career readiness coordinator, so they got to come through me. Okay, but it is a very good program. Now talk about my department, Human Resources Development. We have classes, and Tony took all that away from me. No, we do classes for unemployed, underemployed, facing layoff, all of those things, and we're online. So you don't have to leave the house. We got some great classes that are beginning to start. Tony, you talked about, or someone said something about computers, not knowing how to navigate through that. We got a class coming up called Technology Tools for Job Searching. That's going to be a good class. We have one coming up next week, Intro to Phlebotomy Career. It's so many. That's because we're really going online. And you get certificates when you finish these classes. And those certificates says a lot. We got one that's going to be finishing up called Working from Home. If I knew I had to work from home, I'd be crazy. I'm about crazy now anyway, because I just came off medical leave. No sooner than I come off medical leave, they say you got to work at home. That's almost 2 years being at home with my husband. It's no fun. But take advantage of all these opportunities. I can't wait until work first starts back up again for the steps to self-sufficiency. I hope we still have that class, Tony, because that was a great class, if I must say so. So you can contact WakeTech at this website and just go for what you know. Okay? And you can also contact me next at this email address, and I will get back in touch with you. Okay, any questions?
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, questions for Bernadette, you can type them in the chat or you're welcome to unmute and ask them out loud. I had one question about tuition for WakeTech. How does that work? And is there tuition assistance? And just share a little bit about that piece.
Financial aid for the curriculum classes. We'll still go through the process, go and sign up for whatever curriculum you want. And there is tuition assistance out there. I think the best thing right now is the WakeWorks thing, because they're going to pay for everything. Even these tests that I'm conducting, they're paying for that.
Yeah, in our program, when you are referred for education and training through WakeTech, there is funding. I mean, I'm not in a position to make promises for our partners, but I do know that there is funding through the program for it. So they may not cover every single thing. I know there's some courses where I think at some point you need insurance to go work on site. I think it's one of the medical courses.
Yes.
I know they can't cover the insurance, but books and tuition typically should be paid if you're in the program. Again, that's going to be between you and the education navigator, but it definitely is a part of the program, or should be.
Yes, and a lot of the classes now that's online under our department are pathway classes to see, is this the pathway I want to choose?
Yeah.
Especially this phlebotomy class. It's going to give you enough information to say, I think I want to go get somebody's blood out their arm. The interest, you have to have an interest.
I do know, Tony, we had some of our folks who signed up for the WakeTech classes, and they were under the fee waiver. If you owe WakeTech for previous classes, it's not a no. Let them know up front so that they can help you work that through. Because if you wait and they run all your information, even with the fee waiver classes, they'll say that you can't start because of your balance. Mm-hmm. So knowing that was helpful because we had that happen before. And so we always threw that question in. And so when our folks would go sign up for WakeTech, regardless of what the program was, even the free ones, right? I tell them up front that this is your situation. And they helped. There's been a couple ways for some of that to get written off.
Yes.
And then there were some where the balance was small enough that they can make payments. And so while they were making payments, they were able to take the course. Like WakeTech really wants you to participate. They're not trying to penalize you. They're just saying, hey, I need you to handle this. And that's something we push all of our families. Like, we don't want you to just go because it's free. Go because, like Tony said, this is something you want to do. One, right? And two, because you're going to be committed to your goal. And part of moving forward sometimes include taking care of the past.
That's right.
So we have a question in the chat box from James, and James' dream is to work at the forefront of the field of psychology, but I also need a job in the meantime. So who would be best to talk to about this? And there are probably others on the line who may not be thinking psychology, but interested in X field, but they also need a job. So who is the right person to talk to?
Yeah. I mean, again, psychology is one of those, I'm a psych major myself, so I would say,
me too.
Change your dream, James. No, I'm just kidding. It's been great to me. What I would say with that is a lot of times I don't know if you've been to school for it, what degree you have, or where you are in that process. But I will say that a lot of times, like you were talking, Bernadette was talking earlier about volunteer opportunities, and especially in the field of psychology, like if you were looking at working as a social worker, for example, or something, counseling, things like that, a really good opportunity before you have the skills and the degree and the education and the training, a really good thing is to volunteer. There are so many opportunities to volunteer, in outreach facilities, shelters, a variety of places where you can actually get solid case management experience working with people, dealing with a variety of issues. And honestly, getting your hands, kind of getting your feet wet and getting your hands-on experience like that is so much more valuable. I mean, I said I'm a psych major, but there, I learned more in my first 6 months at the Jobs for the Homeless program than I learned in 4 years of college, at least in terms of psychology, and counseling. And it's just, so there is in my mind, there's no substitute for actually working and getting out there and experiencing it. Because it may turn out, it turns out I loved it, but just there's plenty of people who get that degree, they go out there and then they start doing it and they go, oh my God, this is not what I imagined at all. I don't like this, so it's a good idea to kind of experience it a little bit and find out if it is something that you love. And in addition to that, when you get that experience and you have it under your belt, you're going to do better in those classes. You're going to be much more knowledgeable and ready to deal with it. And you're going to have some real world experience to bring to the class and to bring to your education and your training that I think is very valuable. So I don't know if that's the answer you wanted or not, James, but.
I'm like you, Tony. I'm a psychology major, and I was a late bloomer going back to college, and I'm in class with these young folks, and I'm all into the psychology class, asking questions, and they would look at me and say, Miss McAllister, can you shut up? Because it was so interesting. And then I'm a qualified mental health professional also. So I have worked case management, worked with other people. It's a great field. I love it.
It is. All kidding aside, I have no regrets at all, but it is, it's not for everybody, and there's so many different things. You can do research, you can do counseling, you can do social work, you can do eligibility. There's 1,000 different things, that's all a part of that same field. So, get out there and experience it a little bit and find out what area in there you really like. And then you're going to go and knock it out, go and do it, find out what you like and then do it and do it well.
I think Miss James, you wrote accounting, finance, business administration. Are those subjects that you're interested in and want to learn more about what's available at WakeTech, or did you have a specific question? Oh, awesome. You just graduated with a degree in that.
Deal.
That's awesome. Very cool. Any wisdom to share about that field?
So I will say from my perspective, if you're going to go into like social work or, working for human services, for example, which again, I highly encourage. All kidding aside, it's been a wonderful. I've worked with so many great people over the years. Some not so great ones, but mostly great ones. But I will say to James what I would say to what I've said to. I'm sorry, I keep saying James. It's Miss James. Sorry. The best way that I can tell you, if you're not sure what you want to do in that field, you feel like you want to do counseling, social work, I will say that the my favorite population to work with, just in terms of sheer variety and an opportunity to see just everything, is the homeless population, because there's so much that you can learn there. Housing, eligibility, every jobs, mental health, physical health. Everything. If you think of some part of the counseling and the social work spectrum, every part of it is, right there. I mean, there's no other population you can work with where you will have an opportunity to learn so much and to impact people in such a positive way too. So I encourage it. It's a great way. I think for me personally, it was my way of getting my feet wet and really finding what I love to do, and finding what I would ultimately end up doing for the rest of my life in my career. So
yes, I have to say this, not to cut you off, Tony. Protect your heart. Protect your heart.
Yeah.
Got to. You can't bring it to you. You have to know how to separate it.
Yeah.
I made many mistakes not separating and getting caught up in that person. So protect yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
But
that's another thing you learn by getting out in the field. You will learn, sometimes the hard way, but you will learn that.
There's some great comments coming in from Miss James saying, I love helping people as much as crunching numbers. That's what she meant by having a humanitarian spirit more than being competitive.
Yeah.
From Manuela, thanking us for the information. Manuela is working on professional and personal development and thinks that these programs can help reach those goals, which is awesome. Laura is interested in the employment and education and training pathways, particularly having a job that, it's good to have a job, but when it barely makes ends meet, you really want to look at your next step and how you can get ahead for sure.
Yeah. So anyone, you'll have my email when Kristen sends out that information, and just email me. Now, I will say I'm only going to be in the office a little bit tomorrow and a little bit on Monday. I am very responsive, but please, if you send me an email, I may not be able to get back to you until Tuesday. I'll probably get back to you Monday anyway, but just in case I don't want anybody to think I forgot their email. I did not. It's just I'm not really in the office either of those days. But do send an email, and I will get you that application packet right out to you. But like I said, make sure you say in the subject line that this is from the Zoom meeting, and you promised me no info session. So,
Kristen, I know you're wrapping up. I just want to say that I just saw what you posted in, and if you want, actually, can you talk about that, and then I'll say what.
Yeah, I just put something in the chat box because I saw that someone wants to open a food bank, and just kind of thinking about that idea. And we are actually kicking off a program I think we're going to start in September, but we have some info sessions coming up in the next couple weeks. It's called the Easy Challenge, the Empowering Entrepreneurs and Seeding Innovation Challenge. And it's for anyone who's ever thought about starting a business or starting a nonprofit, just really wants to explore those opportunities. So it's to help you kind of think through your personal leadership skills, your entrepreneurial mindset, building some connections with businesses and mentors in the community. So I think it's a great opportunity if you are looking at that as a pathway, not just a regular old job, but maybe starting your own business at some point. It's kind of the pre-step before you really start to move into building a business plan.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because literally as that popped up, I was going to not give the full, but say that I am so proud of the folks that are online. These are our MC folks who have been pushing through. And, when I hear Laura and I see Nisha and I see Manuela and Miss Jane, how you doing? I sit back and I remember what you wrote down. And this is exactly what you wrote down. Like Laura said, it's not about just getting the job. She has a job, right? It has been, what do I need to do to go to the next? And while she has to take care of her children and her home, and, I'm watching all of her dreams starting to unfold, because she did, like Tony said, she didn't settle. I'm working, but that's not where I'm at, and I'm listening to Manuela and I'm watching Nisha, and I'm just sitting here saying, this is why I'm glad that we record these. I have had some of our participants get the recording and forward it to their family members and friends, and then they're contacting me. Miss Nisha, I got that young lady, thank you. I just text her, right? Because Tanisha went out and she met someone who had a similar situation to hers, and she was able, I use this word so I hope nobody gets offended, witness. She was showing her own who she is and what she has gone through. And this woman got inspired by Tanisha to contact me, and the woman has been on it. It was Hvac who lost the message. But see, this is why we do this, because it then does the domino effect, because now somebody else is interested and they will get on board and they will benefit, and then they'll bring somebody else on. So in saying that, Kristen, again, I've been thanking Kristen all day, because Kristen's the one who brainchilds all the extra stuff that we have in our heads. And I know it's out of line, but you see that little kid there? That is our future president of the United States. That's Calvin. Calvin's gonna be the mayor. Calvin's gonna be somebody, because Calvin's mom makes sure that Calvin and his brother and her sister are always in touch and always getting involved. And, you know, I'm just proud of that young man, and I'm can't wait to see this school year with Calvin and all the great things that he's going to do. So that was my little 5 second. I saw him, I had to throw that little shout out to him. But thank you guys. Oh, Miss Bernadette, then she got her dog. I would pick up my daughter's dog, but he's a little fussy pup. But anyway, thank you guys. Kristen, any closings?
Yeah, I was just gonna say thank you all for showing up tonight. I mean, that's the first step, is saying like, I want to do something different. And so showing up and taking your dinner hour to be on a session like this and learn about the resources. Like I said, we'll be sending out all the slides. I know Tony just forwarded me a bunch of things that I'm going to share with y'all. And if you have questions, we'll have their contact info so you can reach out to them. But yeah, thank you all so much for being here tonight. And thank you, Tony, and thank you, Bernadette.
Thank you, Kristen. I really enjoyed it. So anytime.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Have a good evening,
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Good seeing you, Hvac. I haven't seen you in a while. So glad you're doing well.
Here you go.